Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking through a couple of my favorite plays on Prizepicks for today's slate, Tuesday, March the 22nd. Today is actually my birthday, so I'm hoping that the DFS gods can maybe bless me a little bit, maybe just bring a little luck on my side. We didn't get very lucky last night. Last night did not go very well with the 3 picks we gave out in yesterday's video. We went 1 and 2 on the 3 picks we gave out. We did hit the over on Christian Wood points. That one hit very, very easily. I think Wood finished with like almost 40 points. The 2 picks that did not hit, though, were Evan Mobley over 16.5 points. He finished with 13. He was in foul trouble. He only played like 27 minutes yesterday, so that was definitely disappointing. And then the Seth Curry fantasy points, I mean, my God, couldn't have had a worse game from Seth Curry. He played, I think, 15 minutes in the first half, and then he got injured. And he literally had -1 fantasy points in 15 minutes. So Seth Curry played like complete shit, and then he got injured. Evan Mobley got in foul trouble, came up short, but Christian Wood did hit. Went 1 and 2 yesterday. I have 4 picks for today. It's a shorter slate. It's only 4 games today, but there are a lot of props that I think stand out. I think the projections for today are a little bit too low, so we'll kind of talk through these props, talk through these 4 plays, why I like them, and in the end, if you guys want to tail, as always, I'm putting my own money on these plays. I already put some entries in with these 4 guys, so I'm always going to play the picks I give out. If you guys want to tail, feel free to. I always try and explain why I like the picks, so in the end, you can kind of make your own decisions whether you want to tail or not. But before we do get started, guys, as always, please hit that like button down below. Always do appreciate the likes. Hit that subscribe button as well if you are new here. We are very close to 25,000 subscribers. We're about 30 subscribers away, and obviously, it would be awesome if we could hit 25K on my birthday. So if you have not hit that subscribe button yet, make sure you do that. Also, if you're new to Prizepicks, you want to check them out, you can sign up with promo code NOAH. That'll get you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. And you can tell the picks I give in this video. You can make some entries for yourself. But if you want to check out Prizepicks, make sure to sign up with my promo code, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. But yeah, guys, 4 picks for today. It's a shorter slate, just 4 games. But again, I think there's a lot of props that stand out today. So we're going to start off with the fantasy point projections category. I have 3 fantasy point projections that I feel are a little bit too low. And then we have a points prop that I think is too low as well. Starting off in the fantasy point projection category, I know this is a pretty high number on RJ Barrett, but I'm going to take the over 40 fantasy points for RJ Barrett. Now, if you look over his last 5 games, it doesn't look great. He's only went over this in 1 out of his last 5 games. But we did get some big news earlier this morning that Julius Randle is going to be out for the Knicks. Now, obviously, the projection has changed since Randle got ruled out. I think RJ Barrett's fantasy point projection before the Randle news was 38, and it got bumped up to 40. But I really think bumping it up 2 fantasy points, I think that's not enough. I mean, we can take a look at this season with Julius Randle off the floor. We can take Derrick Rose and Kemba Walker off the floor as well, since both those guys are out right now too. RJ Barrett has played 300 minutes with Rose, Walker, and Randle all off the floor. He leads the team with a 34% usage rate, which is 8% higher than the next guy. Emmanuel Quickley has the second highest usage rate at 26%. So obviously Barrett's going to dominate the usage. He's averaging 1.17 fantasy points per minute. And we know Barrett's going to play huge minutes. I mean, per 36, with these rates, he's averaging 42 fantasy points per 36 minutes. But we know he's going to play over 36 minutes. I mean, you can take a look. I don't have the game log on my monitor on this screen, but I do have it on my other screen. Over his last 5 games, RJ Barrett has played 43, 40, 40, 41, and 40 minutes. I mean, he's just getting run into the ground right now. I think Tibbs is fine playing Barrett 38, 40 minutes a night. It's a big-time game against Atlanta. It's a rematch of the playoffs from last season. I like the spot a lot for RJ Barrett. I think the usage is going to be massive. Without Julius Randle, the workload should be insane. He's going to play huge minutes. He should average a fantasy point per minute and should play 40-plus minutes. So if he can do that, I mean, he's going to go over 40 fantasy points. There were some other props I did look at that I kind of liked for Barrett. His assist prop was one I was looking at, over 4.5 assists, because if you actually look, his assist percentage is 28%, 27.9%, which is second highest on the team. So he's got the second highest assist percentage on the team. If you want to take over 4.5 assists, I could definitely see doing that as well. But for the sake of this video, we're going to go over 40 fantasy points as our first play for RJ Barrett today. Now, the second play is also in that game, and we're going to take the over 22 fantasy points for Danilo Gallinari. So Gallinari, he's been starting in place of John Collins. He started basically every game that Collins has been out. You can take a look at the game log. It's been a little up and down. He's gone over this projection in 3 out of his last 5 games. Did really poorly against Charlotte. Against Memphis, came up just short. But he crushed last game against the Pelicans. And I do want to mention that Gallo actually played over 40 minutes last game. Now, is this something that is going to continue? I have no idea. But they played him 41 minutes. the games that John Collins has been out, Gallo has played around 30 to 32 minutes. The fact that he played 41 minutes, that might have just been because he was shooting the ball so well and he was having such a good game. But the fact they played him that many minutes makes me feel confident that if he's playing well, like, Nate McMillan will play him 35, 36 minutes. And we've seen Gallo get, 35, 36 minutes in some of the games that Collins has missed this season. A lot of the projection sites that I look at do have Gallo for around 27 fantasy points. So, a lot of the projection sites are over his projection as well. You can take a look at his rates this season. He's not a super productive player. He's got about a 20% usage rate this season with John Collins off the floor. He's played, obviously, a ton of minutes without Collins just because he's basically Collins' backup. He's averaging around 0.9 fantasy points per minute. Again, we only need over 22 fantasy points, though. If Gallo plays 30 minutes here, averages 0.9 fantasy points per minute, I mean, that's probably going to put him at, 24, 25 fantasy points. And obviously, he could, outperform 0.9 fantasy points per minute. He could be way more productive than that. I mean, last game, he averaged close to a fantasy point per minute. So, over 22 fantasy points I do like for Gallo. He has gone over this number in a lot of the games without John Collins. I mean, 37, came up just short last game, 20. The Charlotte game, he only played 14 minutes. Don't really know why. But the Indiana, 27 minutes, 27 fantasy points. 30 minutes against the Clippers, 24 fantasy points. 36 minutes against the Bucks, 30 fantasy points. So, feel pretty good about Gallo getting over 22 fantasy points if he plays 30 to 32 minutes here, which he should with John Collins out. And do want to mention that Bogdanovic is questionable as well for Atlanta. I think if Bogdan gets ruled out, that just makes Gallo look even better. So I wanted to go ahead and hop on this projection now because I feel like if Bogdan sits, the projection might go up on Gallo. So I wanted to take it early. I think over 22 fantasy points looks pretty solid. And if Bogdan sits, feel even better about the over 22 fantasy points for Gallo. So that's the second pick I like for today. And then the third pick, another fantasy point projection that I think is a little bit too low, is Mo Bamba. So we're going to take over 21 fantasy points on Mo Bamba. This is another projection that was lower than the projections I look at. The projections I look at have Bamba for around 27 fantasy points, whereas Prizepicks only has him for 21. And if you can look over his last 3 games, he's gone over this in 3 out of his last 5. Bamba has been pretty inconsistent, but we've seen, it's not necessarily his play. It's just that the minutes are inconsistent. Last game, he only played 21 minutes. He didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. The game before that, he played 25 minutes against Detroit. I don't think he played much in the fourth quarter in that game. Against Brooklyn, he got in foul trouble, and it was a blowout, so I don't really want to look too much into that one. Philly, he did play big minutes against Philly, but it was a really tough matchup against Embiid. I mean, I think if Bamba plays like 24, 25 minutes, he probably gets over 21 fantasy points. I mean, if you can take a look at his rates this season, he's been a fantasy point per minute player. He's played 1,500 minutes this season, over 1,500 minutes, and he's averaged just over a fantasy point per minute. Is he going to play 36 minutes today? Probably not, but I think if he plays 24, 25, he probably gets us 21 fantasy points. We know Mo Bamba can block shots, he can get defensive stats, and those are huge on Prizepicks. They're worth 3 points each. Like, no one would be surprised if Mo Bamba blocked 3 or 4 shots today, and that's 9, 12 points right there. He's a pretty good rebounder. If he plays 25 minutes, there's a good chance he's going to get close to a double-double. It's all about the minutes for Mo Bamba. I do expect him to be productive when he's on the floor. We just need him to play like 24, 25 minutes, which on average he usually does. He's been averaging around 25 minutes per game on the season. I know his minutes have been very inconsistent lately, but I do feel good about him getting at least enough minutes to hit over 21 fantasy points. I think this projection is just a little bit too low. Even if he doesn't play as many minutes as we want, he could still hit over 21 fantasy points because he is a good point per minute player. He could play 20 minutes and score 23 fantasy points. If he plays anywhere near the upper 20s minutes, feel very confident we get the over here from Obama. So these are 3 fantasy point projections that I think are a little bit too low today. And then the last prop that I like is a points prop that I think is also too low. We're going to take over 18.5 points for Jrue Holiday. Now, I was debating between 18.5 points or 30.5 points, rebounds, assists. The only reason I didn't take PRA is just because I feel like if Jrue scores 19 points, it's very likely that he hits his PRA as well. Could he score under 8 or under 19 points and still hit PRA? I guess it's possible, but in order for that to happen, he's probably going to have to get like 9 or 10 assists, probably going to have to get like 5 or 6 rebounds. I think just taking over 18.5 points is the best play from Jrue here, but I like a lot of Jrue's props today. Chris Middleton is going to be out today for the Bucks, and that's huge for Jrue. You can take a look at this season with Chris Middleton off the floor. Jrue's played 814 minutes with Middleton off the floor. 29% usage rate, which is the second highest on the team, obviously behind Giannis. But if you actually look at the differential, he sees the biggest bump in usage, a 5% bump, 5.4% bump in usage for Drew Holiday with Middleton off the floor. Giannis sees a little bump, but, Giannis is already a high usage player. His usage can't really go up much at all, just because he's already a guy that's going to have a 35% usage rate. Drew's a guy that goes from he's a 23%, 24% usage player with Middleton on. It gets bumped up to 29% with Middleton off. So there's a big bump in usage for Drew. He should be able to take more shots, should be able to be more aggressive offensively. They're probably going to stagger him and Giannis, so Drew should definitely get some minutes on the floor with Giannis not on the floor, and he should obviously be really productive in those minutes. Drew's a guy that we've seen a lot of games this year. He will kind of maybe not be as aggressive offensively. He's a really good passer. He's a really good facilitator, and he'll have games where he does get a lot of assists, but I think without Middleton, they're going to need someone else to score, to step up and score, and Drew should be able to do that. So I definitely like going over 18.5 points for him. I know he's only hit this in 2 out of his last 5, but I think Middleton being out today is a big boost for Drew. I like the matchup against the Bulls. The Bulls defense has been getting better lately, but still do want to mention that this season, when you look at points allowed to point guards, DVP is something I don't weight too heavily, but it is worth noting that Chicago Bulls have allowed the second most points per game to point guards this season. So I think really all the boxes are checked here for Drew. I feel like this line is a little bit too low. I think he's going to be able to be more aggressive offensively today without Middleton. Should take more shots, should have the ball in his hands more. Obviously, the usage gets a big bump as well. I was debating between points or PRA, ultimately decided to go with points. If you wanted to take the over on Drew's PRA, I think that's fine as well. But these are 4 picks I like for today, guys. Again, it's a 4-game slate, but there were a lot of props that stood out, so I did want to share these 4 picks. If you want to run these 4 as a 4-pick power play, obviously you can do that. It's a little bit risky because you're going to have to get every pick right. I would suggest maybe taking 2 picks and doing a 2-pick power play, and then taking the other 2 picks and doing a 2-pick power play with those 2. Just because, if you get 1 pick wrong, you can still profit on the night. Even if you get 2 picks wrong, depending on which picks you have paired correctly, you could still profit on the night. So it's your choice how to play these picks, but these are 4 picks that did stand out to me at first look. Now, as always, I do provide more picks over on Patreon, so if you want to get more of my Prizepicks plays, I give those out over on Patreon, usually later in the day, a couple of hours before the game starts. I'll provide more plays that stand out to me as I get more time to look at the board, more time to just analyze things. I will post more plays on Prizepicks. If you want access to those, check out the Patreon, link down below in the description. But again, guys, best of luck on the slate. I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you did enjoy, and we will see you in the next one. Good luck, guys.